Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
This is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest. Today we have from right here next door, from Whitensville and also Uxbridge, we have Jerry Jackman, and he is the owner of the Jackman Funeral Home in Whitensville and also in Uxbridge. And he has brought a magnificent, well, we'll call him a person, Finn. And Finn is his dog, and he is a Labradoodle.
That's right.
And there's a good reason Finn is here besides being so adorable. He's Jerry. Well, he's an only child, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's an only child. And he was also a rescue. And Finn is 4 years old. And we're going to tell the story today about how wonderful Finn has been for other people. Jerry, I read it was two articles. There was one in the Sunday Telegram and one in the Sunday Daily News. Tell us, I'm going to let you tell us the story of what happened and how embarrassed you were at the funeral home. Tell us.
Sure. So I'm a funeral director, and one day, 7 or 8 months ago, I had Finn in the van, and we had a wake going on. It was a hot day, and I let him out for a moment, and he went right up the ramp, and the door was open, and he went right into the line where the family was receiving guests. And I was so embarrassed. I chased him in, and my face was red, my ears got hot, and I took him. And everybody was nice, and they petted him, but I took him away. And the next day, the gentleman whose son had died, an older gentleman, came up to me and said, "Jerry, when your dog came in, that was the best thing that could have happened." And I explained how embarrassed I was.
Yeah.
But he said, it broke the tension. In my mind, I had a moment of, I guess, pleasure, and he said that he felt that if he could have that feeling at one of the lowest points of his life, the wake of his son, then he knew that life was going to get better at some point for him. So
I bet that surprised you.
it did. And I call it sort of a happy mistake now.
Yeah.
But since then, I've been bringing him to wakes and funerals and burials at the cemeteries, and the response is amazing.
I had read about this earlier, months earlier, before I read about your story. I mean, they did a terrific job. The deal was at the Telegram, beautiful big picture of you and Vip. Then the same picture smaller in the Daily News. Of course, I've been keeping these and making notes along them. I've read about this, a slow trend. Slow. It's catching on a little bit. But you gosh, got baptized under fire with this one. You must have felt, as soon as I read the story, I said, oh my God, this, because it's such a solemn occasion.
Sure.
And they're depending on the funeral director to make sure everything's going right.
Right.
So, oh my God, my dog just ran in there.
Well, right. The last thing I wanted to be was disrespectful. But when I bring him in, and I'll wait a lot of times, I won't bring him in right at the beginning, a lot of times towards the end, or if I see that there's a lull, I'll bring the dog in, and I'll tell the folks ahead of time. And I thought maybe it was just a gimmick in the beginning, but the response I've had has been overwhelming. And I understand that not everybody loves dogs or animals, or maybe they're allergic, so I try to be sensitive to that. But again, the response, the feelings that I get from people, they just love it.
I can imagine how surprised you felt and also relieved. Not only did you get a positive feedback, it's like your higher power, whatever, was showing you now you've got another reason to help people.
Sure.
You've got your dog.
Yep.
And he's calm. I read part of one of the articles said that you say that he has obviously very peaceful and calm demeanor, and he rested at your feet during a 90-minute visit to the funeral home.
That's right.
He stayed right there.
Yep.
Do some people request that he is through the whole visit?
They do, yeah. Some folks will come up to me and said, "We want the dog. We want the dog. Where's the dog?" And
oh my God.
Usually I keep them upstairs at the funeral home.
Right.
We have an office there, and we'll bring them down when they request them.
So I also read that he is very well known in the neighborhood, and they go, "That's the funeral dog. That's the." Now, does he wear in the picture? He had a scarf on. Do you have him wear a scarf when he?
Usually he wears a vest that says "Therapy Dog in Training."
Yeah.
And it's a red vest, and folks are a little bit respectful of that. He's not a service dog, but I say he's a therapy dog. He's for people's emotional support and emotional encouragement. So just to bring a lighthearted moment or two to an otherwise pretty solemn occasion, like you said earlier.
Yeah. You know, too, it's like if it was I had been at my father's or my mother's funeral, it would be, to me, I don't like the word the message from above, but you know what I mean? It's sort of like a feeling like they're lightening it up. I can't express it.
Yeah.
Because I remember when my dad went through a deep depression. We were living on Cape Cod, and we were all asleep, but he was getting ready for work, and he was sitting out in the front porch, and he said he was just beside himself. He owned a business, and a dog came out of nowhere, a pup, came out of nowhere and cheered him right up. We didn't know who this dog was. And I remembered that when I read your story.
Yeah.
The power of an animal, even if it's a guinea pig.
Sure.
You know, something that people can pat, and it's relating to it. The dog isn't judging.
Right.
And the dog didn't know the person, usually,
Yeah.
right? And that he's very well behaved. He doesn't go up to the casket or anything like that.
Sometimes he will just go up and kind of sniff and investigate. But he is pretty good. He's got a tendency to be a humper, so I have to.
Oh!
I have to keep an eye on him, and a leash, obviously.
I bet the children love him.
They do. They're drawn to him.
A wake and a funeral are not the easiest places for a child to go.
Right. And we've had great experiences with a lot of small kids. There was a young fella that died, and his family wasn't from around here, and they had come down and been at the hospital for some time. The fellow passed away, and 4 children. It was like an old-fashioned sad story.
Yeah.
Left a wife and 4 kids, and the youngest one didn't speak after his dad died. And I asked permission to bring the dog to the church, and
To the church.
to the church, which is a little unusual, but we were in a side room, and all 4 kids and their cousins came over, and the youngest one started talking. He said, "I have a doggy back home," and then he just starts talking to me, telling me about his dog, and the mom came over and said, "This is the first he spoke since his dad died."
And how old was
He
he?
was probably about 6 years old. So
That must have really got me right here.
yeah, and it just is more proof that, I don't know, animals can sense when a person's feeling low or when they're sad, and they come over and just be themselves.
Well, I
and
know when
lighten
I've
the
been
mood.
sick, we have 2 cats, and Tomcat has come up to the bed
Yeah.
and just like, have you heard about the nursing home story? There's a nursing home somewhere, they have a cat, it's true, and God, I guess God want to see the cat in my room, but every time a person is nearing death, the cat shows up on their bed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I would say, get out of here.
Right.
I'm not ready yet. No. I was like, what do you do? I mean, you love animals. You're like, just get the cat out of
Yeah.
here. Gerald, how can people reach you if they're interested in having him aboard?
Jackman Funeral Home, www.jackmanfuneralhome.com, or our main telephone number. We've got 3 locations: Uxbridge, Douglas, and Whitensville, and the number is 508-278-2200. It reaches all locations.
You call him a grief dog, saying by therapy
Yeah.
and training. Will he go into any kind of therapy or?
I'd like to, well, my goal in the beginning was first to start funerals, and then I'd love to bring him to nursing homes.
Yeah.
With the ultimate goal bringing him to, in my mind, I always think Hasbro Children's Hospital in Providence, because he could really do some good.
Yeah.
And it's been an amazing journey for me too. I've learned a lot, and I've seen people at their lowest point brighten up and smile and feel like themselves again.
And I know that, I think it mentioned in the article, Boston Children's,
Right.
that would be awesome. And
Yeah.
nursing homes, right?
Nursing homes too.
Nursing homes, assisted living. There's so many possibilities.
Yeah, even maybe like a senior center or children's daycare, something like that.
You know something too? Addiction recovery.
Yeah.
Something like AdCare in
Yeah.
Worcester.
Sure.
I think that would be awesome because that is a scary time. People are going
Yeah.
through, they're going through all kinds of hell, and to have the dog come in, it's what do you call the dog isn't human, but it is like bringing in some humaneness to the situation.
Yeah.
I don't know what the word is. It's like look how calm he is. This is Finn, our Labradoodle guest here with his daddy, Gerald Jackman. And he goes to, if the family is amenable to it, Jerry will have him come to the funeral or the wake. And does he sit in the back or does he sit with a family member?
Usually, a little bit of both. Usually, I'll kind of walk him around. I say, I'm going to take a lap
Oh, geez.
and bring the dog around.
Yeah.
And people will come over, or I can sort of tell if people maybe are allergic or not an animal person. So I'll kind of stay away.
Yeah.
But there's been times when he plops down next to someone. There's been times when he'll sit next to someone. There's been times where he kind of lightens the mood and does something goofy. He's kind of a goofball.
Well, his eyes alone, if you could see, they were like, "Hi, how you doing?"
You a good boy?
Yeah, they're. Is he going to get bigger?
No, this is it. He's 4 years old. He was always supposed to be 50 pounds. He's above 70 now.
Oh, gee.
So it was a big surprise to me.
And he wears his vest. What color is his vest?
It's a red vest, and again, it says "Therapy Dog in Training."
When people come to you, what do they call? I suppose the first one, people call and they say, "We'd like your services."
Yeah.
And when they come to visit you, is that when you say, "This is Finn, and he's available if you would like him"? You introduce him too?
I do.
Yeah.
And there's been times when he's upstairs and he knows I'm with someone downstairs, and he barks and barks, and almost every single time the family has said, "Well, bring him down. Sounds like he wants to come down. Bring him down."
Do they know that he's the therapy dog?
No, not at first. Sometimes I'll tell them up front, or sometimes they've seen the article.
Yeah.
But I'll bring him down, and he greets everybody. He's pretty happy, and then he'll plop down and just kind of be there. He likes to be near me, and he likes to be near people. And then I'll mention, I bring him to funerals, I bring him to wakes. And
At your facilities or other ones too?
just our facilities.
Sure.
Yeah.
You have three to
Three
run.
locations,
How do you do it? Do you have family members helping you?
Yes, I do, and also great, excellent staff, and a lot of part-time folks as well.
I'm always impressed at a funeral home. I've been to a few in my life, and the quietness, demeanor of staff. They're there, they're quiet, serious, there's no horsing around.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like they're silently moving around. They're not actually in it, but they're right there. They're standing at strategic places.
Right.
I have always noticed that. Is it hard to teach somebody to do that?
Some people have a natural ability. That's the kind of people I tend to gravitate to. Other people, they just have the ability to maybe speak without getting into detailed subjects or heavy subjects.
Yeah.
They have a lightheartedness about them. We joke that we bring water, tissues, mints,
Yes, yeah, definitely.
and
he's shaking his
Buddy.
dad's hand.
so yeah, we try to be sensitive and not overbearing, but at the same time, just talk to people. And being in a small town, you're the same way, I'm sure, that you know a lot of the families, you know someone in the family.
It could have been someone you just talked to a couple of weeks ago.
Right. So my heart does go out to folks when there's a death, and of course some are a little more emotional than others. Someone who's in their 90s and has had a full life, not to say that it's easy when they pass away versus someone who's younger,
Yeah, kid.
or a parent, a mother or father that's lost a child. I mean, what do you say to somebody who's lost a child?
And with
pretty
the opioid,
difficult.
do you see a lot of kids, the
Yeah.
opioid epidemic?
We do. It's been going on for some time in our world. 10 years now. We did 50 funerals last year for people under the age of 32 that had 50. And we've done probably 20 or so this year. And it's a real big deal. It's such a big deal to these families. And a lot of times, you know the families, you know someone in the family, you know the person that died. So it's an absolute epidemic. And we actually had a seminar back in August at a church in Uxbridge where we brought in...
I think I read about that in the paper.
Yeah, we brought in a fella that was addicted to pills for 16 years, and he got himself off. So he came to this church and he gave a talk to addicts and to families of addicts about how he got off, and his message was pretty simple, that if he could do it, anybody could do it. His name is Frank Huntley, and we also had the district attorney's office there, and they had a memorial wall where they have photos of kids that have died from substance abuse, and they also had a teenager's bedroom set up with things to look for as a parent, like a water bottle that was closed that had water in it,
or the pen that's been monkeyed with.
Right, open up and there's a hiding spot, and it just gave parents an idea of what to look for. So that was really good, and we'd like to do another one in the next few months.
I think that's awesome. Jerry, do hospitals locally, I suppose you do pickups, I hate that word, but at UMass and Milford, and are they aware of what you're doing with Finn as a therapy dog?
I'm not sure about the facilities. I know that some of the nursing homes, especially the local nursing homes like St. Camillus, Beaumont, the salmon facilities, they do, because I'm on Facebook and I'm on our website has the dog, and people will come in and they'll joke, "Where's the dog?
Yeah.
I see you, but where's the dog?"
Yeah, where the heck about you? Where's the dog? Where's Finn?
Right, and it's pretty funny because at my house about, 2 weeks ago, this couple walks by and I waved to them, and they didn't even say hi to me. They said, "Hi, Finn."
Oh,
and I said, "Hey, what about me? What about me?" And they just started laughing. So
well, what happens if you have, all right, you've got 3 funeral homes. What if you have 2 families who want him there at the same time? What do you do?
Hasn't come up yet, but I would probably bounce back and forth, or go to one and then bring him to the other.
Popular. He's a popular dude.
He's more popular than I am. He gets more hits on Facebook than I do.
We're talking with Gerald Jackman, and he is the funeral director of the Jackman Funeral Home I didn't know it was in Douglas, too. Douglas, Whitensville, and Uxbridge. And Finn is the therapy dog that... Tell us again how this happened. People are just tuning in.
Sure. So he accidentally got out of the van and came up the handicap ramp at our facility in Whitensville. The door was open because it was a hot day, and he went right up to the grieving family and kind of nudged the father. He went right to the dad who had lost his son. And, of course, I was embarrassed. But the next day, the fella pulled me aside and said that was the best thing that could have happened. It really lightened the mood.
Yeah, it just kind of gives you good chills when you hear about it.
Yeah.
You must have been like, whew.
Oh, I was relieved. I thought I was gonna get an earful the following morning, but not so.
How did your family feel about it? Were they surprised about Finn's ability to do this?
They were. My kids, not so much. I've got 2 kids, and because they see he comes pretty much everywhere I go.
Yeah.
My mom, she was surprised, but very, very pleasantly surprised. And I've got 3 sisters too, and they just think it's a great idea.
Definitely, again, that thinking my thought, my mind goes right to something like AdCare. If somebody's got the guts to go in there and get clean and sober,
right?
How comforting would it be to have a pet in there?
Well, you're certainly at one of the lowest, if not the lowest moment of your life. And in my mind, anything that can help, it's a good thing.
Yeah. I've often thought about, I don't know, I think kids are not little grown-ups, but I think we grown-ups are little kids inside. I've still got some fears of my own, but when you go into an emergency room, I'm a big girl now, I don't mind as much, but I just wonder, I get this picture of a dog wandering through, knocking on each little door, would you like a visitor? Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Would a hospital consider it, healthy enough?
Well,
pre-surgery would be awesome.
Yeah. Anytime there's a situation where you have anxiety, I mean, when I have anxiety, I call my dog.
Yeah.
And he definitely settles me down. like you said earlier, Jan, he's non-judgmental.
Yeah.
And always happy to see you. Sometimes you got to watch out for the tail.
Yeah.
You know.
If somebody wants to come over and visit you, not for the usual sad reasons, but would like to come and meet you, are they welcome to come over and meet you over at the Jackman
Absolutely,
Funeral Parlor?
anytime.
And meet Finn?
Yep.
Both of you. We're not
Yeah.
singling out Daddy here. I mean, the dog.
Yeah, I joke. I just hold the leash.
He just holds the leash. He came in, that's a rope, because Finn is a big
Yeah,
boy.
yeah.
That's a rope he came in with. And he's so good, he's laying here on the floor. Hey, you! He's laying here on the floor, and that's what he'll do during the service.
He will. Yep.
He will literally be very quiet. He doesn't bark.
Very seldom. If I leave him alone, he'll bark for a little bit of
He
time.
needs you then.
Yeah.
It's funny, when I was in the emergency room, I've been in, actually pre-surgery, and you know how they got you in the cubicle there, and you're like, oh God, let's get this over with. They got you all hooked up. You're ready to go. I had this picture, of course I love basset hounds too. This picture of a basset hound sauntering down the hall in a little Scrubs outfit. What better, what way, and also like a Finn,
Yeah.
to go like, oh my God, did you just see that?
Yeah.
What a cool, and also maybe in post-op.
Sure.
People wake up and say, that's the first thought.
Yeah.
In the children.
Sure.
Imagine in the children's ER.
Yeah.
Do you think this is going to become more and more accepted?
I would hope so. This is the first dog I've ever had. I've always wanted to have a dog, but because of allergies, didn't. But my kids said, oh, Dad, there's this Labradoodle type of dog, and they're hypoallergenic, and we need one.
And that was it. How long? 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
And where was he? But now you.
He came from Michigan, and he came out on a plane. We all went to the airport and picked him up. He was just a little guy. Again, supposed to be about 50 pounds.
Yeah.
And here we are at 70 pounds.
Yeah, just a kid. Have you ever thought, well, going to funeral meetings? Isn't there a United Funeral Association?
There's National Funeral Directors Association as well as Massachusetts Funeral Directors Association.
And have you gone bringing Finn to kind of show these guys what can happen?
I haven't, but somebody had sent me a link to another funeral director that's out in the Midwest somewhere, and his dog is a therapy dog, and really works well for him. It seemed a little more formal. I kind of bring him in and
let him
do his own thing, sniff around, say hi to people, and then a lot of times he'll say hi, he'll walk around and kind of nudge folks, and he likes to be scratched, of course, and then he'll plop down.
I think I read in here too that there's some other ones, not local, that there's Mercandante up near UMass.
Yeah.
I didn't know they had an animal.
Yeah, no, I didn't know either.
A dog? I
Yeah,
don't know. They
yeah.
had a dog. I can't say enough how when I read this, I said, it's about time.
Yeah.
And I put myself in your position like, oh my God, I'm running this business. It is so solemn. This is so respectful. My dog just got loose and just ran into the service. Was someone speaking during it?
No, it was just a wake, and the funeral was the following day. But it was just perfect because he went right up to the dad,
father,
and kind of nudged him and stayed with him. And then we had another situation where this woman lost her husband, and they had a service in the funeral home preceded by a wake, and I brought the dog in early, and the dog stayed with the widow almost the whole time.
Without being prompted, he knew.
Without being prompted. And in fact, it was such a good experience for her, despite being at her husband's wake and funeral, that Maria Stefanos from Channel 5 came down and interviewed myself, Finn, and this family, and she couldn't say enough. She said that she didn't think she could have gotten through the whole situation without the dog. So when she came in for the interview, Finn went right to her and stayed with her almost the whole time.
Did he know her ahead of time?
He had just met her at the wake, which was probably a month earlier. Yeah.
And he was able to. He just literally singled out the widow.
Yeah, and he sat down and kind of nudged her, and then she was in a chair like this, and so he was sitting, and then put his head on her lap, and she was going through the interview, and just kind of petting him.
Now, how did Miss Stefano find out about you and Finn?
I think from the Telegram article.
See how good it was?
It was, and what what prompted, she's doing a television show on death and dying following the death of her mother. And she's having a real difficult time just coming to terms with not having her mother. I guess they're very, very close.
Yeah.
So she thought that doing a program would help her, and was interested in how the dog comes and helps people at those times.
No wonder she was tying it in with her own experience.
Yeah.
Probably wished that Finn had been been there at their same time.
Sure.
I was just going to ask a question. There are a couple of excellent books out there. I just finished one about a young girl who was looking for a job, true story, and I think for like 11 years she worked in a funeral home, and she worked her way up to like a receptionist and this type of thing. And her experiences there, it fascinated me. It didn't scare me whatsoever. At Jackman Funeral Home, all faiths.
That's right.
Everybody. How do you accommodate all faiths? You have to make sure you have the equipment for each faith, the cross, or the everything. Everything has to be there.
Yeah.
That can't be easy.
Well, I joke and I say Finn is really my therapy dog.
Yeah.
Because it can be tough. I've been doing this almost 30 years and grew up in a funeral home. My dad, my uncle, my grandmother, my grandfather, were all involved.
At the same place that you are yourself?
Yeah. So
Wow.
for me, it's been second nature, but the problem is it's one sad story after another. And your heart really goes out to people. And sometimes when you finish a wake or a funeral, you're just emotionally drained. And it's nothing better than either coming home or having your dog with you to kind of lighten the mood. And I've learned over the years that I've developed skills and I've developed techniques to try to help me not keep it all inside and not hold it in. Whether it be exercise or whether it be socializing or hobbies or interests. And a big interest has been the dog since I've had him.
Do you do anything together? Do you go like runs or walks?
Yeah, we walk in the state forest in Douglas all the time.
Oh, come over to Upton.
Yeah.
We got one too.
Yeah, it's fun. And I don't have to keep a leash on them most of the time. There's a lot of other folks who walk their dogs.
How old are your kids, Jared?
19 and 16.
Oh, you've got at least one millennial there. Yeah, so do I. Yeah. Fun, isn't it?
It is.
Do you think the oldest or one of the youngest are going to carry on the business?
I'd like that very much, just because I think it would be pretty great to be able to work every day with one of my kids or both of my kids.
Sure.
They haven't made the decision yet.
They're
Put
kind
it
of
that
young.
way.
My 25-year-old still doesn't know what he wants to do.
Right. Well, that's the hardest thing, figuring out what you want to do. Then you can just do it. But when you're not sure, you hate to waste time or go to school for something and then not do it.
Sure.
So yeah, that's my hope.
Finn, come on over here. We're ready to close. We're going to show him to everybody again. Here's Finn, and he's over at the Jackman Funeral Home. This is Jerry Jackman. He is the owner. He's in Douglas, in Uxbridge, and Whitensville. And Finn, if you'd like him at a funeral, I mean, it's not the happiest topic, but he is a happy topic. And Jerry's willing to listen to you and introduce you to Finn. And evidently he has proved that he is very comforting. He went to the widow directly to found the widow. He didn't know who it was, of a man, and the father of a boy who had died. Dog didn't know. He just instinctively went there. I think this is pretty cool. I think this should be not only just trending, but really up and coming. And Jerry, I think this is awesome. You've hit a winner.
Thank you.
You got a
Thanks,
winner
Jim.
dog, and you've hit a winner. One more time, how can they reach you if they have any questions?
JackmanFuneralHome.com or the telephone number 508-278-2200 reaches all of our locations.
Now, does by any chance does Finn answer the phone?
He does not yet. He's looking for a 401k plan, but haven't decided on that yet.
Do you feed him beforehand to make sure he's not hungry during?
Yeah, twice a day.
You got to walk him too.
Yep,
I mean,
gotta
he might
walk
get a
him.
little antsy.
Yeah.
Does he greet people at the door as they're walking in?
Sometimes he does, and he can tell when somebody pulls in the backyard.
He knows.
He knows, and in fact, the whole neighborhood around the funeral home. A couple weeks ago, somebody's walking. Catholic Charities is right across the street, and there was a woman saying, "Whose dog is this? Whose dog is this?" He was, I call him free ranging, and the kids were coming home from school up the street, and they said, "It's the funeral home dog. It's the funeral home dog, Finn."
And I bet she was quiet then.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Everybody knows him in the neighborhood.
You know, it's like coming home, I would think. You come in and here's the dog. It's like, everything's going to be okay. That's the feeling I just had.
Yeah.
I walk in, it's going to be okay, really.
Yeah.
And it's a lovely reality in a soft way. And Jerry, thank you so much for doing this for other people. Well, you're very welcome. He just gave me his paw, too. Thank you for bringing Dad. Is he a good driver?
He's not a good driver.
He's not. He's not. He speeds a little on those back roads.
Yeah, he's always after the chipmunks.
Well, Finn, I hope you have a very long, long life. You have. This is your gift. Look at those eyes. Oh my! No wonder everyone loves him over there.
Yeah.
You got a good dog.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jerry,
Jan.
very much for coming on. And we'll see you next time. I'll be my guest.